someone who devours corporate balance sheets, corporate financial statements, sovereign financial statements, and balance sheets for a living, this is a pattern that I'm seeing emerging in our country, which might help explain the attack on immigration. So during the industrial age, we needed manual labor, physical labor. And at that time, the immigration policy was open borders, open doors, everybody come, American dream, so on and so forth. Leading up to now, with where we're at when it comes to our debt levels, how prices have skyrocketed, it's very difficult for wages to catch up, especially for the lower middle class. And a lot of immigrants that come to our country legally or illegally end up working lower wage jobs, especially those that come here just with a skill set of physical labor, thinking they'll make it. But now our economy is more focused on the mind. So professionals, people that work in finance, government sector, IT are needed. So we're going from asylum-based immigration to merit-based immigration. Simply put, lower wage earners seem to be the liabilities of a system that cannot lower its prices.
Do you know why we'll never bring a manufacturer back to America? Manufacturing is gone. It's automated. You think people in China are making things by hand? No, it's by robots now. This is why union is so important. That's why the Communist Party of China, or CPP, whatever you want to call it, they're protecting the people because everything's getting automated in China. Like, there is no manufacturing jobs. It's like saying we're gonna bring farmers back. No, farmers are gone. Like, we're being replaced by robots. It's been going on for decades. However, if we educate and invest in our people, maybe we'll be creating these robots as opposed to being replaced by them. Huh? Maybe, huh?
You know, I used to believe that, and it is actually true in many ways, but something has changed very recently. And let me give you an example. So back in 2004 to 2008 or so, I used to work at a seatbelt manufacturing company. My dad used to work there too. When I say work there, I like work on assembly line. So like literally on assembly line manufacturing or assembling these seatbelts. And therefore almost all the Toyota models and some of the Lexus, and we did some Mazda, did some General Motors, you name it, a lot of them. This company is based in Canada. So almost all the parts are built essentially by humans, right? Like we have machines, then we kind of assemble them, we stitch them, a lot of sewing machines, a lot of like, machine that kind of clamps it down. And anyways, it gets pretty complicated and it's a very demanding job. But we have one machine there. In fact, there are two of them. One exists in Japan, one exists in Canada at the time. I think it's still like that. That does this automatically. However, it's not as fast and not as accurate, and it can only handle certain seatbelt models. There's a specific thing it does. It has a camera and it kind of detects and basically act like the human eye. However, that camera never got as good as we want it to be. However, what happened recently between, like basically in the past 3-4 years, in the advancement in understanding how the human brain works, we're able to develop a better vision detection system, which we call large language models, and essentially training the intelligence of computers essentially, and to better basically become a better eye than human, right? That changed this machine. This machine is now able to pump out essentially all the work that we are doing, or what I used to do like 20 years ago, and automate that. And this machine, because it was so expensive and they never want to invest more, they're like, we only have 2 machines in the world and it's very expensive. We don't want to do it because it's not even as good as the human. But now I know for sure they're doubling down. They're just like, yep, our vision is better now. I would just make one more of this machine and I get rid of all the people that used to work there. And that is what's happening in the manufacturing world as we speak. So yes, automation is changing drastically than ever. Yeah.
Here's reality, okay? Port Arthur, Texas used to be one of the biggest ports. Shreveport, Louisiana used to be one of the biggest ports. Baton Rouge, Louisiana still is a big port, right? When it comes to anything else, okay, first of all, Shreveport and Port Arthur, Texas are shut down. Pittsburgh used to be used to be the steel capital. Not anymore. Southeast Texas used to be another steel capital. Not anymore. I think they got like one steel plant down there, okay? Everybody talking about Longview. That's that's where the landmen are, right? You guys are gonna understand this, okay? And I'm gonna make this very clear. Even though there are still oil refineries in these cities, that's all that's there. Before in these cities, there used to be grain. There used to be all kinds of things coming through there. You don't shut down a port. A port is more than just oil. A port is everything. Why isn't any of this other stuff coming in? Have you guys thought about that? Now, if you go to Houston, you'll see cars, you'll see all kinds of stuff thriving, right? But all of these places that are mid-sized places, where people in people in areas outside the city live, which, whether you guys believe it or not, is a larger portion of the area than the inner city. Okay? All that's gone away. They've had to find lower paying jobs. Okay? What happened to all this? And I just named some places I understand and know. Okay? A lot of you say that steel is still made in America. That is a lie. They don't make any steel in the United States. They fabricate it in the United States. A lot of you say that we drill for oil in the United States. That's not true. We refine oil in the United States. Okay? I need you to add something in there. Do you guys understand what risk assessment, risk management, risk mitigation are? First of all, look up what they are. Then the other part of that is, what are they needed for? And what do they do? Well, all 3 tools are for innovations, regulations. There's no need for either of those if you're not doing its specific things anymore. Why is there no regulation in steel? Why is there no regulation in mining? Okay? But why is there regulation in China? Why is there regulation in India? Why is there regulation in Mexico? Because that's where they are doing it. Why there's regulation in Saudi Arabia? Because that's where they are drilling for oil. Why is there regulation in Nigeria? That's because they are. So here's the thing about it. In order to catch up innovatively to the world, fuck AI, you would have to automate plants in the couple of $1 billion they're investing, or 600 billion, 500 billion, is nowhere near. That's just numbers that impress you. That's just numbers that impress you. In order to replace those workers in that plant, the level of automation would be crazy. Some of you don't understand. There's no difference between automation and AI. When you work in a plant or you work in it, shit, if you work in a fabrication plant, there's automation in there. Think about further automation. You work in a car plant, there's automation. It's all, AI has been around. It's just not been around to this point, and you hadn't placed brains in the entire plant. You haven't seen an entire plant run itself. So when you see people talk about America, you don't realize how much they have to catch up to compete with China and all these other countries, because you think America is the seat of innovation. And let me tell you something. First of all, the main point of the reason that America's failing is two things: greed, and Caucasians people need for other people to do the work that they don't want to do. Those are two reasons. There is no other reason. It ain't the devil. It's not any of that. Okay? They're always trying to get somebody else to do the work. They've done that throughout their history. We can't do all this work. Where do we get it? So, trillions of dollars to catch up with what everybody else is doing. We don't even feed ourselves. Let me ask y'all a question. When's the last time y'all saw somebody out there picking potatoes in the United States? You know what our farms do? Our farms supply feedstock for chemical plants. All those corn, nobody eats corn like that. It's feedstock. I say all this to let you guys know that this is over. Not just the United States. Whiteness is over. Let it die. It's you get along, motherfuckers, that keep stuff around that God trying to get rid of. You pray get rid of prejudice and racism, but you won't let it happen. You don't get it? After all these years, these people aren't going to change. Why would anything that worked for them change? Are you serious? Come on, man. You guys don't realize it, but the beginning of the end for the United States is taking place. Let me explain something to you. One of the things, I wouldn't say it was a dark time in my life, but it was a time of clarity, and I tell my mentees particularly about this time often. It was a time where the Holy Spirit downloaded a lot of information. He told me the truth about me. He basically separated the cultures and identified what their downfalls were and what their strategic monolithic approaches to life were. And that's why I told you guys, if you want to know where I get the art of war from, the Holy Spirit told me black people can't rule because they're afraid to go to war. And by war, you guys now know what I mean. They don't have a plan. That's how you go to war. It's a plan. But let me go to my point. The bigger point he gave me, he said that Hispanics, particularly Mexicans, will never run anything because they're egos. And obviously we can see that. See, when you have a big ego, it separates you from reality. It does. Because your ego can be based on a few things that you're really good at. And then the things that you miss, you miss. Let me explain something to you. Some of you are saying, why doesn't Donald Trump care about the Hispanics? And what do I mean by that? You know what I mean by care. This is a strategic move, just like the removal of DEI. Everything that he's done, throwing all this shit against the wall, is strategic. Okay? And the reason there's no halt in it, because literally every aspect of government believes that white needs to rule. I told you guys that. You're not part of their plan. But let me go back to this point. It's a bigger point. You guys saw when Donald Trump was inaugurated, when in his office that day, he had 4 or 5 AI executives in his office, right? I'm going to tell you guys what AI does. AI mitigates a lot of labor. A lot of labor. I know you guys are hearing, specifically you guys in construction, are hearing about all these huge AI facilities that they're going to build. But what you don't know is it takes 20 people to run them things. The only money that's going to be made doing those, the development of those things, is construction money. Once they're constructed, they don't need a lot of labor. Okay? What Donald Trump is strategically doing, and I told you guys before, he's tearing America apart. He's starting it. He's selling America off. Look at the largest AI facility builders. Look at the largest ones. You guys have heard me talk about this online with one of my followers who is a construction manager for these facilities. And he told y'all what I said was true. Everything is strategic. Again, this is why I tell you guys to read books like Art of War. You can see what's really happening. The Hispanics don't realize with all this rising up all over the country that they're ushering in an expedient demise. Western people are so strategically provocative. In other words, they understand how to, long and short, they have a backup to what they provoking you to or directing you to. You think you are losing something. You think they're losing something. They're not losing anything. There were 2 sides of this thing, and I need you guys to understand why the things didn't work. So for those of you who are Democrats, the Democrat system didn't work because it was an old system. It was keep starting wars, keep making money. That will no longer work because our money is devalued. It no longer has any value. I'm going to make a post about that because nobody's intimidated by us. The only reason our money stood is because everybody was afraid of how many missiles we had. And Russia was on our side at that time. They're no longer on our side. Russia don't give a damn about what we say. We have to try to get along with Russia. Our money no longer matters. BRICS is going to happen. I don't care who you listen to. I don't care what your professor says. It's going to happen. It's happened. All this stuff you guys are hearing about Africa, because Africa is what Khan said in Star Trek. It's the undiscovered country. It's the last bastion of the world's newness. But now, they're not going to be controlled by anybody because they have bodyguards called China and Russia. And the other 90% of the people. So some of you would say, well, Juan, Saudi Arabians are with America. No, they're not. No, they're not. Trump has done a deal with Saudi Arabia to buy America. They're going to do the same thing they tried to do with the Japanese back in the day, sell the Japanese a bunch of America and then try a scheme where they slip it back. They're not going to be able to do that this time, though. Trump knows what he's doing. Trump knows what he's doing. That's why him and Elon Musk are fussing. That's the real reason. It had nothing to do with Doge. It had nothing to do with Doge. It has everything to do with Elon Musk understood at some level what Trump was doing, but he got scared. He's like, well, I'm going to lose my place in the world. And when he started going over the world trying to negotiate like Bill Gates and all these other billionaire companies from America doing, they're like, nah, we don't want your control. We'll take your money. We'll take a real investment. We'll take you coming over here and we're not even going to do what India did. We're not going to give away Africa again. So keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Trump's going to fail. All of them going to fail because what they're trying to do ain't going to work. What Trump's doing is going to work for him because he's going to get super rich. Like super rich. But that's what he's doing. He's negotiating everything. They know how stupid he is. They know he don't care about rules. But America never cared about rules. They want you to live by rules. This is what's going to happen. Trump is going to do an executive order soon. Because these Mexicans, they're not going to stop. I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. I guarantee you this. Nobody in Florida is going to protest. Because they're two different sets of people. Those are Cubanos. Essentially, they Caucasian. Because they live under Caucasian philosophy and mindset. Colombians, too. Same thing. They're white people. But Mexicans don't understand. They think they in rebellion. They finna kick them out of here. Even these legal people, they finna kick them out of here. I'm telling you, what are the Caucasians gonna do if Mexicans got all the work? And the work is gonna be different anyway. See, they fooling the Caucasians too, the regular Caucasians, because they making them think, oh yeah, they know what they doing. Why you think, listen, did y'all notice that your white neighbors start acting nicer when Trump won? We had two of them try to come over to the house. I'm like, we still don't want y'all over here. That's okay. Don't come way over here. If y'all open your eyes and y'all pay attention, y'all see everything going on. Stop talking and stop listening to BS and see. The world is easy to see. All this braggadocious, presumptuous Hispanics, they about to watch. Their population is going to tremendously diminish. And them threatening to send Americans back to America, you think Trump care about that? Watch what I'm saying.